Do you go to Mass on Christmas?
No.
No Mass at all.
I go to Willy Wonka's Golden Chocolate Factory.
What?
No, it's all nonsense, man.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
I don't know. I'm just asking. Tradition because you grew up that way.
No, I never grew up that way.
You
I
didn't?
Went to, I
You
went
didn't
to
have church
Catholic
when you were a
school.
kid?
Yeah, we did, but it was for a very short amount of time. To say I grew up that way would be hard because I was out by the time I was out of first grade.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about putting me back in for second grade, but we moved from New Jersey to San Francisco, and we didn't find a Catholic school. And it's, Catholic schools cost money too.
Right.
Went to public school after that, but I was just done. I hated it.
Yeah.
I was in fear of those fucking crazy people.
And your parents didn't take you to church or make you go to
They
church?
did a little bit. I think the idea was back then that if you had kids, you wanted your kids to go to Catholic school. There's a lot of people that did that in that neighborhood when I was little. It was just a normal thing you did.
Yeah.
And they were more strict. And dude, one thing that was for sure though, like I had a conversation with my mom about it once. She was like, your grades were way better when you went in your Catholic school. And I was like, yeah, because I was fucking terrified to get them wrong.
They beat the shit out
I
of
don't
you.
want to live like that. They never beat me,
No?
but they definitely threatened me.
Really?
Yeah, they threatened to make me sit on a nail. You're gonna have to sit on a nail in the closet and stay
God.
here all night. I hope you brought your blanket. They're like really mean. When you're like a little 6-year-old kid, like that's fucked up. It's just a weird
It's
feeling
so...
this to be stuck with these people for 9 months. And also for me, it's like my parents were splitting up at the time, so it was very confusing.
Yeah.
And then I wanted things to have order to them, so I wanted God to make sense. Like, I remember annoying people with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm like 6 years old.
What do you mean?
I'd annoy people talking about what God wants.
What do you mean? Like you would...
God says this. God wants that. Like I would say that.
Oh,
when
you
I was,
would bug...
like 6 years old. Yeah.
Right.
Because I was a little kid who was dealing with my parents splitting up, and there didn't seem to be any order in the world. And I was very nervous, right? So when I went to Catholic school, when I first got there, I was happy that I was going to go to Catholic school. But then as I experienced it, at 6 years old, I started going, this is ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense. I'm like, first of all, these people are so mean. They're obviously being mean and nasty. They're not comforting and loving.
Right.
And I was thinking as a 6-year-old, comparing them to the way like my grandma was or my mother was. Like these ladies are nasty.
Right.
Like, why are they
Interesting.
being so mean? And I'm like, they don't represent God. And I was like, this is crazy.
Wow. At
And
6.
And then you could see kids getting in trouble because their parents hadn't paid for their lunch or this kind of, and there was like this really, you tell your father to get that money in. Like there was this weirdness to it that just didn't seem loving, or it didn't seem like what I thought of when I thought of, Christ, and when I thought of, it seemed to me like, oh no, this is a dark little trap that you can get sucked into. So
that's what's remarkable about that is not just the age, but that you went from really, really needing it in a very real way because what was happening with your family to, like, normally you wouldn't turn that quickly.
Oh,
like,
man.
within a year, it sounds like.
By the time I was
or
7,
2, yeah.
it was over by the time I was out of there.
Usually that change doesn't happen for 15, 20 years.
Well, outside of beating me or doing something sexual to me, the mind fuck of dealing with those mean, nasty ladies scared the shit out of me. I remember crying. They were calling me a baby because I was crying. I was like, whoa.
Just not knowing how to deal with human beings.
Yeah, when you're a 6-year-old and this is going down, you're like, what have I done?
Yeah.
Like I went from always being with my mom or being with my grandma or my grandfather. I was like, everything was cool. And then all of a sudden you're going to school, and this is what you're doing in school. I didn't go to kindergarten. I went to first grade. That was the first thing I went to.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, the first grade is like instantaneously being connected to these crazy ladies.
Jesus.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Poor. And then I would think about them, and I would think, what kind of, like, and I was thinking about why they're so mean. I remember being like 6 years old thinking this.
Right.
And I'm just like, nobody probably loves them. Like they don't have a family.
Yeah, they don't have a boyfriend.
Kids. They don't have a boyfriend. They don't. I didn't think at the time they don't have a girlfriend, but maybe they do. Holla.
Right.
But for sure they didn't. The whole thing was that they didn't, they didn't have anything.
No connection with another human being.
Right.
What could be lonelier or more anger-inducing?
Yeah, it was just dark. They weren't loving people.